my God.
It's just my phone.
Okay. Oh, everyone's phone on silent?
Ooh, I believe I turned mine on, so do not disturb.
Okay.
No, I'm good. My phone's never the problem.
No, you confidently didn't even reach for your phone, so I assumed that you knew that your phone was on silent.
My phone's never the problem.
You were confident. Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have 3 Thanksgivings to go to this year.
Oh, that's
I'm sorry.
I can't with that.
Hey, girl,
I can't. Why'd y'all both reach at the same time?
It was intense, and I didn't want it to be like loud on the.
Yeah.
Cut that part out. But anyway.
It should.
Right at the beginning.
You know what? Because you know what happened? Hey, is everybody's phones on silent?
It's on silent.
Everybody's phones on silent. Remember how that was?
It's on silent. It's just not off
first person to go reach for it. Did you like that album? I thought it was bad.
You're fucking crazy.
I hated that album.
This difference of opinion brought to you by the fuck you talking about.
screaming.
No, why did that sound like Whoa Vicky? Why did that sound like Whoa Vicky? Also, that thing I said to you guys.
Don't be disrespecting Mimi.
No, I wasn't trying to say she's Whoa Vicky because she's white. I'm saying how when she was explaining, like when you was like.
And I'm saying why you mentioned them in the same sentence.
Okay.
All right. Welcome everybody to the Two Guys and a Girl podcast. I am back. Sorry you missed me last week, if anyone missed me last week. Anyway, so I'm your host, Mimi. Got ourselves the other host here, Wally B. Another host over here, Big J. And our special guest for the week. Would you like to introduce yourself, dear?
Okay, I will. My name is Imani Nijah, also known as Carrie Creates, and
with the C
with the C
at the end.
With the C at the end.
And thank you for showing up on our show today. We're excited to have you here.
Let's take a shot for that. Let's take a shot.
We should have like audio of clap. Oh my God.
He's wild.
Oh my God.
He's wild.
But anyway, we got a great show for you guys this week. We got a lot of heavy hitting items to talk about. So, Big J, I'm gonna let you start us off.
Well, can I first start off with? Isn't it funny how people think we're best friends?
I mean,
like,
I don't know.
Don't you think it's interesting? Like, I know we spend a lot of time around each other, but it's funny how the perception, because like we had to set her straight, but like somebody was under the assumption that me and you just like are like bosom buddies and stuff.
One of our coworkers. Well, I mean, no, it makes perfect sense because of how we interact at work and the fact that we've got this podcast. So, I mean, no, I get why people think that we're like this. Like, I get it.
I like it because then if people feel like they want to ask something about me, they can just go through you. It's like,
yeah, but I mean, I won't have any answers. I'll just make shit up.
I know. That's what makes it so good. It's like you're a perfect buffer.
Like your favorite, like where your favorite tattoo position is.
Well, all right. So on today's show,
sorry,
we have a great show today. I guess we're going to start, well, I took a turn. We're going to, I guess, let's start with the heavy hitting stuff and then we can get to the more fun things later, like Thanksgiving traditions.
Yeah.
But today, well, not today, but like this week, the Rittenhouse verdict came in, Kyle Rittenhouse. Mimi, you remember early on in the week when it went into deliberations, you remember I told you, I was like, I believe he's going to get off.
Yeah, and you were pretty much like everything, and I was like, I mean, there's going to be something. They're going to get him for something. And
I was like, no. I was like, yeah. No.
Once I saw that judge was acting like there was a couple of stories that came about certain shit he did or said early in the trial. I was like,
yeah, some things that were unsavory and very, very borderline racist. Like,
well, I think it's interesting. Now, I understand from a trial standpoint, you may calling them victims may taint the jury.
Yeah, like, he didn't permit anyone to call the victims victims.
But I'm gonna do a quick little ISO and then I'm gonna let you guys rock on this. When it comes down to this, the reason why I told Mimi I think he was gonna get off on these charges, because I believe that the way the law is written in Wisconsin is that if there is a reasonable threat to your person, or if you feel like your life is in danger in any way, you have a right to use force. And it doesn't matter what premeditates that. It doesn't matter that you're 17 years old and you go to your mother and you say, "Hey, Mom, can you drive me to this protest where tensions are high or whatever, and I'm bringing my AR," and the law does not take any of that into consideration. The law just says if you feel like you are in any immediate danger, you have a right to defend yourself. And that, in that sense, I cannot get emotionally attached. What I will say to everyone is that I found it interesting that the mother wasn't also on trial or something.
Yeah.
Accessory. Because I know if me and Wiley and our boys, let's say we were all in the car and one of our boys decides to do a stick up at the convenience store. If he gets caught, we all get caught because we were there with him. Mm-hmm. That's how that one goes down. Yeah. They're very clear to tell you who you should be and shouldn't be hanging out with for these exact reasons. Mm-hmm. But somehow the mother takes her 17-year-old son, who she is a legal guardian of, with his AR to a protest, and somehow she has no culpability, and the law has ruled that he has no culpability in two people no longer being alive today and one person being shot, another person being shot. Mm-hmm. I found that to be alarming from a moral standpoint, that nowadays it feels as though people can put themselves in harm's way, and now that they can, get off or be exonerated, if they put themselves in the lion's den and they put themselves, well, now I can Chuck Norris myself out of the situation. And I find that to be like completely nuts on its face. But I want to extend this because I don't know if, Imani, I don't know if you're a legal gun owner, and Wally, I don't know if you're a legal gun owner, but I know, Mimi, you are. Mm-hmm. This sets up an interesting, I know you had some objections to it, so I'm going to open up the floor to you, but I ask you from a gun owner's perspective, because I know one last thing about him is he's not a rich person, but he has $1 million defense team.
Yeah, yo.
I'm just pointing that out. Mm-hmm. This isn't a culture war thing.
He got donations in excess to his cause.
Yeah. That's not that's just pointing that out. But like, as a legal gun owner, how do you feel about how this all played out?
Well, I mean, first and foremost,
because you have a concealed carry permit, and you're fully into that. So I just want to make that clear.
I think there are several things that I've taken away from this entire case, this whole situation. First and foremost, being this clearly highlights the differences between responsible gun owners and people who just happen to own guns. Because I myself and anyone that I know who is an owner of a gun, who has had any sort of experience and training with weaponry, you know that there are situations where sometimes you're put in a position where you have to defend yourself at certain times. And then there are situations where you seek out. That then takes you away from the group of us who are the responsible gun owners. You wouldn't have paid me enough to go into that situation armed. You couldn't have paid me enough to put myself in a situation like that, where I was going to a community that was not mine, to protect property that was not mine to protect. After the citizens did not make out a call to action to come help us, neighbors, protect our community. Nothing like that happened in any regard. There was no call to arms from the community saying, we're afraid, we need help from our neighbors across state lines, or even the next community over. There was none of that. The problem is, in regards to the self-defense thing, and to the gun law that was dismissed, the charge that was dismissed. Mm-hmm. If you read through that particular gun law, it is written very vaguely and very purposefully, when they're talking about like barrel lengths and stuff, and in regards to minors and stuff, they're talking about hunting rifles. They're talking about children being able to possess rifles in regards to hunting, not a 17-year-old being able to strut down Main Street with a freaking assault weapon. They're two different things. But the way one can interpret that law, you can interpret it that way, where he illegally had that weapon. Or you can interpret it to where technically he had a gun that was the proper length, that was this, that, and the other. So that's why that judge sat on that charge for so long before he dropped it. He could have chosen to interpret it one way, but he chose to use the big ass loopholes in that law to use it and drop it for reading it another way. I will never agree with that. I will never agree with that, because what this has done, this whole trial and the acquittal of Kyle Rittenhouse, and for just I'm gonna take race out of it for just a second, because people are like, well, he shot 3 white people. Yes, but let's consider what those 3 white people were doing in Kenosha in the first place. They were there protesting the treatment of a black man who had been shot by a white cop. Now, how that whole separate situation went down, I don't know enough about it, but I know that was a very charged issue, and that's what sparked this protest, and that's what brought Kyle to that situation to begin with. But the bigger problem is, what this now is going to do is set a precedent. Never mind race. It's going to set a social precedent that if, let's say, the 4 of us go out and start a protest for something, it could literally be for anything at all. A group of counter-protesters shows up armed for self-defense, and let's say one of us, or the group that we've amassed, looks at the counter-protesters sideways, and they feel threatened, and they mow us all down in self-defense. It's not going to matter who the shooter was. It's not going to matter who the victim was, what they looked like, what religion they were, what gender they were. It won't matter. What matters is now it's set a precedent that if I don't like what you're saying, and I feel that you have threatened me in some way, I now can take my weapon and end your life. Everyone in the United States, regardless of who you are, and I mean literally everybody, should be scared to death at what this means. Like, literally scared to death of what this means. Because this is the great equalizer. Because these white people who were protesting the treatment of a black person lost their lives to another white person. Because basically what this is saying from white supremacy and in general, you white people have taken yourselves away from the white cause, and you are now traitors to us, so you are therefore a threat. Let us remind you of your place. If you're not with us, you're against us. Everyone needs to be concerned about what this case now means for the country. Now, the only silver lining that I have to this entire scenario is that the federal government can step in and bring different charges against not only Kyle, but his mother. And that in itself can be enough. Like, his gun possession can put him in prison for 5 years alone just for having that gun.
Too bad Joe Biden already said, trust the legal system that works.
But he in this case has nothing to do with it.
I mean, but he don't have anything to do with it.
He doesn't have nothing to do with it.
He don't have anything to do with it, like in terms of like actual action and things like that. But like, we all know what like public perception does. You know what I'm saying?
And
so like,
he has the right.
He set that shit up.
Yeah, he has the right to express.
He put that out
whatever
there already.
He has the right to express however he feels about that. What I'm saying is there is still the federal government still has the opportunity to do the right thing, because federal law is always going to supersede state law. Yeah. Always.
I see what you're saying.
Always.
Like, they have the power to do it. I guess what I'm saying is, like, the fact that he did and said that shows me that it's likely that they are not.
And that may well be. But
I'm sorry.
That may well be. You may be right. But at least I would like for us to still have the opportunity to go, to the federal government, you have a prime opportunity. A prime opportunity to right this wrong as best as can be at the moment. Because again, what this does is it endangers everyone in this country. Everyone.
Imani, you have something to say?
I was just going to say, I totally agree with Mimi. Starting out, I have a couple things to say.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, federal trumps state and local laws. But this is where local laws is very, very pivotal. It starts with electing who the jury and the judge will be sitting in your courts.
Mhm.
Like, I want everyone to really use their voice and make life a little easier for you just by simply showing up to vote for your local elections.
Mhm.
It starts, and it's that pivotal. It starts that pivotal. It's the words that they use as well that helps with the train of thought and the train of teaching that persuades the jury to then come up with their verdict as well. She used the word hunting. She used the word threat. To him, and even in the examples that that Mimi gave, sometimes we are seen as the ultimate threat. We are seen as the ultimate thing to hunt.
Ooh.
So I'm saying the culture of brown-skinned people.
Remember last week when I was like, we were talking about buzzwords.
Mhm.
And I was like, a buzzword is usually created in order to stoke emotion before a thought process.
Right.
And
So
like,
it's triggering.
Negroes trigger emotions. Like, that's just a fact. So yeah.
I do agree with what Wally said about.
Well, one second.
ahead.
I don't think Imani was
Oh,
finished.
sorry. Go ahead.
So also, and then just really quickly, Wally said that he was just a little bit upset with what Joe Biden said. I want to just caution this. I'm not saying I agree with him. I don't disagree with him. I'm just going to read out what he said to you in terms of body language and what I took from the message. I think he said in the most bland way possible, I do not agree with this, but I have to agree with this for the time being.
Full disclosure, that is something you shouldn't do. What I just did, because all I did was I was at work scrolling through news headlines, and I saw that headline, and I was like, "Damn, that's some shit," and kept scrolling and didn't read the story. So yeah, continue.
I'm sorry. Because I studied, I just want to put this out there. I studied political science with a minor in world cultural studies, with an intent to go to law school.
Girl, go for it. Get it.
I want you all to be very aware of studying body language and not just hearing what is being said, but you pay attention to everything that is going on. You pay attention to the people that are behind Joe Biden. You pay attention to the people that are next to him. You thoroughly pay attention to the rules and laws and infrastructures that they support and they don't support. But you also go out and you help them by starting at the local elections.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing I would say to that is he may personally feel a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
but politically, it may not be a position that he can even take at this point.
Right, which is why
Yeah,
his
probably
answer
not.
was what it was, Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm saying.
I'm not disagreeing with
Oh,
you.
no, I'm not
I'm
saying
just,
you are.
Yeah, I'm just saying I think Wisconsin's also a swing state.
Mm-hmm.
These things, when you start, now the judicial system and the president, they're supposed to be separate from one another.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't necessarily give directive to that, but if you appoint that person, that becomes a little tricky.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm trying to say? If I appoint someone, that's somebody who usually reflects the thoughts and ideas that I would like in that spot.
I just
Right.
like to think not too far back to, when we had a different president who was a lot fatter and grosser, he used to shit on himself in public. But he, he used to say outrageous stuff. And, when he first started running, everybody was like, oh, it's just crazy. Like nobody, but like we came to
This is
realize
funny.
that people latched on to all the shit that he said. So he could come out in public and say some complete bullshit and it would like show up in the media all over the world. You know what I mean? It would influence what other politicians were doing in other countries. So like, he don't have any direct influence, but like we all see what that kind of shit can do if it's just like thrown into the lexicon like that. You know what I mean? That's I guess that's all I was saying.
Well, and that could be why this
Yeah.
president is so very, very aware of like trying to be as middle of the road with how he approaches things as possible. And again,
Yeah.
it's not.
It's a real dichotomy because he's real middle of the road with the way he has
Yeah.
approached stuff, but then there's certain stuff that he's just like, he just does because they got to get done.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like we were talking about Afghanistan and
It's
shit.
a hard
Like he
balance
just did that shit.
You couldn't pay me enough to be him or in his position.
Could I say that everything is funny until it isn't, and then it's also a hard time that he's coming into, just like Obama was.
Yeah, exactly. He
so
was
it's like,
left with ruins and shit.
I
Like,
wouldn't
burning car.
Yeah,
He was tossed the keys to a burning car.
I wouldn't say he's straddling the fence. I would say he's trying to not ignite any other fires. We're trying to put this fire out first.
Yeah,
we don't need to ignite.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's like trying to keep everything balanced.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, there's shit that he's done where it's just like, yo, we gotta go hit these motherfuckers in the mouth.
Yeah, no,
it's real weird to see that.
I'm a Wally on that. I think you should, if on this case, for everything that Mimi said, and we can put a button on it, for everything that Mimi said, I would have loved for him to come out a little stronger. There's a way of supporting the legal system, and there's a way of saying, I do not agree with the precedent that this sets.
Yeah.
Because everybody there within the First Amendment rights is the right to assemble and the right to peace. If there's peaceful protest, and if you're not able to do that, and you have to worry about some nut with a gun looking to agitate you,
Right.
or looking to be, let's be honest, looking to be agitated.
Yeah.
Because you said it was. One thing in the break room, and hopefully I'm not speaking out of term. You would look at Mimi.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Mimi, sorry. You said something in the break room about it being premeditated, like murder, based off of how kind of the thought coming in there with a gun, going into a tense situation.
Because we were talking about the kind of, we were talking about the
guns,
and I meant to say that as well because it is premeditated.
Yeah. And let me make two things real clear. And then
I didn't agree with you. So go ahead.
No, I know. And so I guess before we move on with this, I want to make two things very, very clear because I think they're easily mushed together and they need to be separated because it helps to keep things a little bit more cohesive and digestible, I think. When you're talking about self-defense, a weapon that you're using in self-defense, I can tell you that my concealed carry is not an AR-15. It is not a long-range weapon. If you are using a thing that you can put a scope on to use for self-defense,
you a pussy.
My peeps, not even that. Scratch that. My peeps, that is not a weapon you use for self-defense.
Not at all.
It is not. It is not. Tasers are self-defense. Billy clubs, pepper spray, brass knuckles.
Oh, that's what you were saying.
Handguns are self-defense. When you're talking about rifles of all kinds, semi-automatic and fully automatic weapons of all kinds, rocket launchers, fucking potato guns, literally anything that you pull the trigger and it goes woo, really far away. We're talking literally hundreds and hundreds of yards sometimes. That is not a self-defense weapon. It is not.
That's what you were saying.
You watch too much TV. Probably,
that's what I was saying.
Yeah, like, see, that's what, because to me,
that's not that. That is not the same thing.
Because of how I feel, I was letting how I feel about guns color what you were saying, and I get now what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Is that the type of gun you use, and for what it's used for? The type of gun he had is used for mass war.
Yeah.
And if you're having that gun and you're taking that to a rally, or a protest, are you really there protecting yourself? Are you really there looking to get into some shit?
And here's the second thing: if we walked outside and watched some kid running around spraying cars or setting bushes on fire or literally anything that's destroying property in any capacity, as long as, like, obviously nobody's, like, at the time physically inside being hurt of whatever it is that's happening, you do not have the right by rule of law to take deadly action against that person. To stop the damage of personal property does not require the use of deadly force. We could always gang up on that person and subdue them in some way and make a citizen's arrest, but that does not give us the right to try and end their life because they're setting shit on fire. That's literally not what that is for. Like, making citizens arrests destruction of property does not equate then to I'm gonna completely end this person because they just destroyed something. Like we need to make that also very clear, because too many times we're trying to say, well, I was just trying to stop this person from damaging property. Property can be replaced. Cars can be replaced.
But that's not how people feel, though.
And
People
that's
feel
the
like
problem. That's the
people-
problem that social media, that mainstream media is refusing to reinforce in people's brains. It's always, we see this thing, maximum force response. And we have to stop that. We have to stop that. Everything has an equal and opposite reaction.
But that's why Rittenhouse got all those donations, because
know.
people saw that stuff and
I
they're
know.
like, how dare
I know.
those rioters and looters
I know.
burn up those stuff that's not even theirs. Most of the
Yep.
people watching, that was not their property. They
Yep.
were never going to visit these towns,
Right.
but they saw they're burning America
Yep.
and they're threatening my way of doing things. So I'm going to commit money to the cause because this guy is now my, I wouldn't say weapon, but a key person who I'm sorry, man, go ahead.
Sorry. I hear you on that, and and I agree. However, the money that their money that they're giving to different companies and associations, their end all be all, they could hear those grievances and agree, but their end all be all would be, I like this law, I don't like that law.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give you a presidential support. That's my presidential support to you right there. That's my donation. That's my sponsorship for you.
Yeah.
So
Lobbyists and special interests.
yes. So
Yep.
we also have to keep that in mind.
Yes. And that's
That's
the kind of stuff that we have to change. Like, it's like us grieving about it and raising hell about it verbally isn't going to do anything. It's going to take time, and it's going to take literally infiltrating the judicial system. Like, all of our systems of government have to change from the bottom up, from the inside out. And that only happens when people like us in masses have had enough with the bullshit and then start taking action to try and make real lasting change. It takes a long time, and it's frustrating, and it shouldn't be that way, but it is. And I'm hoping that with this, among other things that have been happening, like, let's just say in the last 20 years, it started enough of a movement, of a generation of people who are now getting ready to come into positions of age where they can be in positions of power to change the things that they saw as kids, as teenagers, as young adults, that pissed them off, that they saw the injustices of, that they're like, that's ridiculous. Who needs to change this? We do. We do.
Okay.
We do. That's thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. For our next topic, and I think I'm going to give a brief little backstory because it started between me and, I was explaining a separate story to Mimi in the break room, like most of these topics come from. If anybody's not catching
We do work at work.
Yeah,
just in case. It sounds like all we do is talk at work. We actually work at work.
But since me and Mimi are best friends, we have conversations, and within these conversations, topics come out. And I was talking to her about J-Lo was talking about her first love scene on film and how horrible the experience it was for her, and how she kind of felt pressured and forced into doing it, and some of the rules and procedures that go on during this situation. And I was talking to Mimi, and I was like, although everything she said is true, like every actor will tell you love scenes are the most uncomfortable things ever, because what you see on screen is not how they're actually filmed and how they actually look. These things are pieced together. They're like, put your head here, do this here. You're essentially doing all this with somebody who you have a business relationship with, and you're making out, and people are touching each other and all the rest of these things. And it's not sexy. It's very mechanical, and if she was a new actress at the time, and she's working with a guy who's more established in Wesley Snipes, and she's talking, and the Wesley Snipes, to get to the point of the thing, Wesley Snipes saw the script and said, there needs to be a love scene in here. Because, which if you've seen the movie White Man Can't Jump, if you've seen the other movies, Jungle Fever, if you see other movies out at that time, this is not uncommon within that situation. Like, there's a formula, movies, albums, entertainment has formula to them. These elements need to be in order for a movie to be successful. People feel that way. So when it was posed by him, and then the director and the producer greenlit it, she was uncomfortable. She did it anyway, and now she's talking about her story. And I was telling Mimi, I was like, well, she could just say no. If she didn't want to do the thing, she could say no. Now, that would not be great for her acting career, but if she really had an issue with it, she could say. And then Mimi said something that I admittedly have a blind spot towards, and that's, it's not always safe for a woman to say no in a situation. Sometimes there is not the proper runway to say no in a situation because of safety concerns. Saying no can be triggering for the other party to then escalate a situation. And so then I, as a man and as an ally, I had to sit and listen to try to figure out, what am I missing here? Because if I was always taught, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. But I was told that as a man. I was not privy to the other side of, I can say that, but it may not work the same way in reverse. So Mimi, I would like for you to kind of take it away from here.
Well, and this is one of those conversations where it's all very situational, because, you know, if you go on any Reddit thread, if you go on any form of social media and you ask any woman, any 100 women, the majority of them have a situation in their lifetime, depending on like their age or where they were, or, you know, who they were with. There's going to be the vast majority of women out of 100 who's going to have a situation where they were extremely strongly encouraged to not say no. And that could be by, you know, in any situation from anyone that they know, and some people that they don't. Like if it's at, you know, a church function or family gathering or at a club or out on a first date or pumping gas at your, you know, at the gas station. Like there are several different places, and not obviously
at the gym.
At the gym. Obviously, this is not just women. It does happen to men too. We need to acknowledge that this kind of behavior, this pressure, doesn't just apply to women. It does unfortunately happen mostly to women, but we need to also include that this has happened to men everywhere.
Like Terry Crews.
Yeah, exactly, like Terry Crews. Like there are men who stories you may know, and there will be people whose stories you will never know, because there's this shame of, I'm a man, I should have been able to say no and mean it, and it should have meant something, and it doesn't happen that way. So,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
can I just say, do not feel ashamed that you cannot say no, because a lot of the times, it is not the fact that verbally you cannot say no. It is the chemical imbalances and functions in your brain that is not allowing the words to move out of your mouth. So I want for everyone to just, you know, be patient with yourself and do not be embarrassed by it. Do not fault yourself for anything. Learn from it.
Are you speaking to like being freezing up in the moment?
Everybody's flight, freeze can't be fight. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
some people freeze,
and
that
you like
shit
to
happens.
think,
and it's not
in situations you'll be like, well, of course I'll say no and I'll mean it, or of course I'll be able to fight back.
But it's not how it works.
You don't know. It's easy to say, I'll be like this, I'll say this, I'll do that in this situation, and then it happens, and you may not actually end up being able to do any of that. You just may not, because saying no looks like a lot of different things, and that denial of someone saying no also looks like several different things. If someone is pressuring you for intimacy, and you say no, and no, over and over and over again, and eventually you relent because you are tired, and this could be with intimate partners, it could like husbands, wives, whatever. The fact that it gets broken down, they get tired of saying no, that does not equate to yes. And because there are times where someone says, well, I don't know, I'm not sure, maybe later, the other party could see that as, oh, well, that's a yes, and proceed anyway. Or feel like someone gets gaslit into a situation. Well, I did this for you, so you owe me. or I didn't do this, so you owe me. There are lots of places and a lot of ways where women, we'll just stick with women because it's just whatever.
Easier.
It's just easier. Where women can be in situations where they do not have the backup needed when they're saying no. It could be, I'm walking to my car at the gym and someone approaches me who's been watching me at the gym, who's maybe they've even recorded me or whatever, I don't know, who then makes very strong suggestions that if I don't go out on a date with them, if I don't get in their car with them and go somewhere, that it's going to end very badly for me. Because here I am alone in a dark place, no one else is around, no one's going to be able to help you.
Baby, you talking about a threat? That's a threat.
And I could say no until I'm literally blue in the face. But if that person is disregarding my saying no, it doesn't matter how many times I say no. It doesn't matter how intensely I may mean no. It will not matter. And it's hard, I get it, it's hard for some guys to wrap their heads around this concept because they themselves do not behave that way. Like, there are men out there, I'm sitting between two of them right now, who understand the concept of no means no, and what they may want does not trump what their partner is telling them. That's called boundary respect. And unfortunately, a lot of men don't have that because they're not taught that, and that's a disservice to them.
How many, love stories, I heard where, the dude was, they call it persistent, you know what I'm saying? I showed up at a job every day, stood outside the window with a flower in his hand for 75 days straight.
The radio
she was finally
outside
just
of her
all
window.
right. That shit's not cool.
No.
You know what I'm saying? I don't
It's a trope and it's dated
it's a
and it's
trope,
toxic.
but yeah, exactly. Yeah. Continue. I'm sorry.
No, it's cool because, and also I want to hear
I want to hear the men say that too.
I
want to
hear
hold
y'all's
y'all friends
perspective on
accountable. That's what I'm,
Well, there's that, but also, so maybe you guys have witnessed where someone, it doesn't even have to be a girl, it could be anyone who's being put in a situation where they're obviously uncomfortable and they've been trying to say no. Maybe and some people don't have the confidence or even they don't even know they have permission to say no.
Of course, I seen that shit. I went to college and I went away. You know what I'm saying?
And see?
That, all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's a common thing for dudes to
she's wasted. She didn't say no.
Yeah, exactly. You
Boys just
corner a
being
girl in a room.
and it's acceptable. That's college culture, unfortunately.
And so I think I get why at first you didn't understand because you yourself don't operate that way.
So can I ask a question?
Yeah.
There was a situation, and like I said, we're not going to reveal names, but there was a situation where someone came to you, Mimi, about me, and said I was violating their boundary.
Yes.
And I was in a position where I was confused because that person did not express that to me. Now, everything that you just said can apply in this situation because maybe she didn't feel comfortable. There's a variety of reasons that she expressed about it being me and her had a work relationship. We had an outside relationship. She said that she didn't want to, and this is her justification. She said that she felt like if she would have expressed that, then I would have made life difficult for her at work, and that it would have made life difficult just in general for her, based off of me. Now, in my head, I'm like, no, it wouldn't have. I would have respected that,
right?
And what was hurtful to me as a man, I was not given the opportunity to prove that. By her not expressing that, I was not given the opportunity to say, hey, okay, you don't want this. I'm not going to do that because you said that clearly and stated that.
Yeah.
And to me, that's why I guess I also had a little bit of a thing about that because I felt like if you're not saying no, then how am I supposed to know I'm doing something wrong? Or I'm doing something that's invading your space, or I'm doing something now I'm doing a guessing game. Or I'm under a false understanding.
Right. And in your specific scenario,
I don't know if that applies the same way. Like I said, I'm just saying.
In your specific scenario, that carefully word this because you're right. If that person never gave any kind of anything, how could you possibly have known? And the fact that, yes, you had a working relationship with this person and then an outside relationship with this person. So there were certain unspoken understandings of like your relationship with this person. And if they didn't give you some kind of boundary to work with, you couldn't possibly have known if you had crossed it or not. I get where your confusion on that would have been, because anyone else in that situation would be just as confused. Because if someone doesn't at least try and say or show or express in some way, this is my boundary and I don't want it crossed, it is hard for someone on the other end of that to know that they've done something that's made someone
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
your situation's got like that extra layer to
It's
it.
The only reason why I brought it up is because these things are complicated. Like between males and like
it's
everybody
almost never easy. It's almost never super straightforward. It's only in like the end, the fringe scenarios where it's very this or very that. Most times there is a lot of layers, there's situations, there's circumstances. It's hard to fully cleanly pick apart like, I did this wrong and I didn't know, or I did this wrong and I knew, but whatever, like we're friends or we're lovers or whatever, and it's, why isn't this okay? It's
What you got on money?
It's hard. Yeah.
Unfortunately, just not to bring up the whole Joe Biden situation again, but just to bring back a point of what I was saying and reading body language and analyzing everything. You do not have to overanalyze. What you do have to do, though, is pay attention. Be aware. Like, what was y'all last Snapchat conversation? What was the last thing that you were getting? If it was uneasy, relax. You know what I'm saying? If it feels like you're pushing it, you feel like you're forcing it, force it. And I hear you, though. Hold on. I hear you, though. It's just the fact that, unfortunately, we do not often, like I was telling you before the podcast, we do not often make it to see what a man would do because we're too busy. We have too many boys that will come in front of us and do things that are totally not right. So we don't even give the man, a real man, a chance to, because we're so threatened already. Do you get what I'm saying?
No, I got it. I guess my only pushback wasn't, and the only reason why I brought that up is not because I'm hung up on it. It was because I was trying to give an example of where it's not, because we could all do clear cut of when someone's doing something that's inappropriate, or I can understand when you say that when someone's cornering you, saying no can be like, we could all do that.
Your situation was super muddy.
Yeah, you could.
Your situation was super.
But then life is muddy in that way.
Yeah.
So if we're going to give people guidance in this, when we have to kind of be able to even discern, because like I said, I'm not able to read invisible ink.
Right. No, that's true.
That's true. And I guess for me, we identified an issue about, so how do people go about solving that? Because I do think having that there at least opens it up for later on. Someone could be like, well, they never said they didn't want this.
Right.
We all have a knack, like people in general, especially these days have a knack for not paying attention. Like you just said, you got to pay attention. You know what I mean? And then the other part of that is, how do you best pay attention to things? You know what I mean? Earlier I was talking about how I've had to get better at trusting my gut, trusting my intuition, because it's very strong and it tells me things. But there's some other people that do way, way better with taking a visual picture of a room and analyzing or judging what's in front of their face. You know what I'm saying? And if you're trying to operate off of your gut, but you're more analytical, you're going to get stuff wrong. You know what I mean? So like it's both paying attention and the way that you specifically are able to pay attention that'll help you out a lot, because like she's right. Like honestly, in a lot of these situations, there may just be one or two things that you didn't see. You know what I'm saying?
And if we all have different love languages or how we express ourselves, then we all have different ways of expressing how much we don't want something to happen.
Right.
And what's overstated,
No, you're fine.
What's overstated to you, or what you're saying in an overstated way, may be understated to me. And that's not me being a dick not trying to see what's happening. It's me not literally just like I wouldn't understand that you are, like you giving me gifts, like if I don't care about gifts, may not necessarily understand that as your way of showing compassion. I may not know that that's your way of saying no if that's not clearly stated to me.
Right. See, but before you even do anything, it is imperative that you read the room. It's important that you read the room so that way you know what page you're on and what's going on, so that way you know how to best dress for this occasion, if that makes sense.
The analogies is hidden.
The only thing I'll add to that is for those who don't have that ability, like, because we do live in a world of billions of people and many of them are clueless. One of the best ways that you can head a lot of this off at the pass is being very upfront at the beginning that I need communication from you. You know, and it sometimes that kind of conversation is not going to be organic and it's not going to be sexy. Sometimes it just needs to be like, sometimes I don't read things well. Sometimes I need extra clues. I need lots of context clues, or I just need you to be straight up with me. Don't be afraid to tell me if I have crossed a boundary of yours. It's the only way I'm going to learn. It's the only way I'm going to know. Please don't expect me to read your mind because I'm not psychic. I need to know. And I think the more we get comfortable at the beginning of any relationship, it does not have to be an intimate one. It could be just a friend one. It could be a business relationship. Clear communication of what you're looking for in that relationship ahead of time will help be a better guideline than just kind of blindly stumbling around and trying to figure shit out as you go. I think as a society, we're getting better at just, first of all, giving people permission to say, here are my boundaries, and not worry about coming off as rude or bossy or bitchy or whatever. And then giving people permission to accept those boundaries, analyze those boundaries, and then apologize if those boundaries have been crossed. And I think for you, going forward, this was a very stressful but very important lesson to learn in just, okay, up front, my partnerships from now on, I'm just going to be straight up, be like, look, I need you to tell me if I've done something to upset you. I need to know these things. I'm a safe space that you can tell me that stuff. I will not get mad. I just need to know so I can improve and move on.
Imani, before everybody came here, remember I was telling you I was saying about like, hey, I just want to know what's going on. And I was like, and even then, if I was going over to get lotion, I was like, hey, I'm getting up and I'm getting lotion. I'm clearly stating what's happening so that it can't be any misinterpretation because we're alone. I want you to feel comfortable, and I want what my intentions are so that you clearly understand. And that was a part of my adjustment, because I had to think to myself, it's not just what my intentions are or what I could be thinking I'm being the most helpful person in the world. And it's not being seen as that. It's being
staple them two things together and
So-
hold them up.
So here's how you do that. Like, and I appreciate you always for doing it. But here's how you do that to also loosen the tension. Let me grab this lotion real quick. Girl, I'm about to do this. Or, you know what I'm saying? That's how you ease that. But also, you have to just low-key be a little patient with certain people sometimes. Because you do not always know where they're at mentally and what they've already experienced. So even just that, hey, I'm about to go grab this lotion can be triggering. Not to say that you're in the wrong, because you're not. It just can, if you're not good with learning how to breathe or how to think or how to, just take care of yourself, mentally, it can trigger it, and you not even know, hey, I just relax, you know what I'm saying? And be a little patient with those people still trying to find their voices. That's it. It's sometimes it just takes a little minute to be able to talk. That's why, I'm big on tea with honey in it, because first of all, my grandma tells me all the time, you need to speak up. And I'm thinking I'm yelling, but in reality, I'm just quiet as a church mouse,
Anxiety will do that.
Sometimes you just gotta sit down and pop in your Raycons. It's like, nah.
That's not a psych. No, he means that because I have Raycons and he gave me crap about. He's like, he was like, yo, I've never seen these in real life. I'm like, yo. I was like, wait. I was like, what do you mean? Like they're imaginary or something? Like, no, but it's funny.
All I know is I seen when he went on Breakfast Club with them stupid glasses and Charlamagne broke the shit out of them joints.
He said they're not breakable.
Yeah, he said they're indestructible, and he ended on. And I was just like, oh, that's a terrible
Party foul.
Yeah, no. But moving on to a more fun subject.
Yay, the plate cleanser.
Yes. Not the plate cleaner that I just read it as.
I didn't understand what you were talking. I was like, bro, that says palate cleanser.
No.
Palate cleanser.
So I'm gonna make fun of myself. I'm probably the worst speller and the worst reader in the chat. And Wally can't help himself. So if he sees anything, he's like a bird of prey. He just like swoops down.
I am so like there's a perfect storm of like most of my work is I write, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I also like go through a lot of news and read and schedule notifications and stuff, but I also have ADHD. And like that shit be red flashing light, like nigga Peeves has 2 E's in it.
Peeves has 2 E's, what are you doing?
What is a pet peeve?
So I was like, you notice I changed it.
Yeah.
Because it did not.
That. He just changed it. He was like, oh shit.
Yeah, because it didn't bother me, but I knew, I was like,
oh my God.
If he's taking the time out, it's about energy. If he's taking the time out to go, and it bothers him in some way that this is tabs instead of P's. So I know I have a problem with spelling. So I'm just going to correct it so that it's for the record. And I'm like, all right, cool. Because that's why I didn't respond, because I was just like,
I know what this is.
I'm just going to do it. Yeah. But I was like, yeah, because he had called me out behind the scenes about something. He was like, yeah, when you got all upset about Mimi on the tech not being here.
It was like every text before and after that part of the conversation, every single word was just wrong.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, damn, dog,
he's just furiously typing and not really caring what he's
Everybody seen that scene of that show Atlanta where Paperboy was on Twitter because people was like talking shit about him and he was just sitting on the couch like, you could just hear his buttons going for like 30 seconds.
No, because I normally do like a quick little spell check on like a text or something for that reason, because I'm notorious for leaving a word out or leaving a letter out. With her, I was a little upset, which is I apologize for. It was funny.
Mimi can't catch a break.
No.
Honestly. Sorry.
I gotta have a spine of steel dealing with this one over here.
Anyway,
you. Anyway, so yeah,
this doesn't help my case from earlier.
So we were talking about going through the list of things to talk about on the show today. Like he gave us this list, and I responded with a text, big hitter, like in these big bold letters, and then in the bottom I was like palate cleanser, and then he looks at the text and he's like plate cleaner. That means something totally different where I'm from. And I'm like,
I literally said,
what does that even mean?
I literally said to her, I was like, that doesn't mean what you think it means.
I was like, plate cleaner doesn't mean what you think it means. And I'm like, first of all, my guy, I wrote palate cleanser.
And I was like, oh, well, she's already halfway giggling.
And then he left the room and not telling me what he meant by that. He's like, I'll tell you when you're older. And I'm like,
hey, go ahead, dog.
Technically, I'm older. So what is, come on.
So, Thanksgiving traditions. So,
you just are
there you go.
Yeah. No, but on Thanksgiving traditions, I think it's cool because, like, everybody does the little thing differently. Like, I just found out. Did you guys know that Popeyes does turkeys?
Yes.
I had no idea about that until this year.
I've been buying and prepping a Popeyes turkey for the past 3 years straight, and oh my God.
I love how we all said yes in sync too.
Yeah, I know, right? It was like learning about Nutella for the first time.
I was like, Popeyes cups I be seeing in your refrigerator when I be coming over your house and shit, and you don't know they got turkeys.
First off, those are like McDonald's. They're Burger King cups. Don't disrespect me.
Disrespect? What you mean?
No,
if you ain't eating Popeyes,
I'm a KFC guy.
Ew.
I'm loyal to the soil. Okay.
What is wrong with you,
I'm
man?
joking.
I am too.
Well, I'm be honest, and I think y'all know what I'm about to say.
There's white people chicken.
Yep.
11 herbs and spices isn't enough.
It's alright. We need like 26, 27. You know what I'm saying?
Why do you just call me Carlson?
And a lot more
Like,
of
how
it.
did that just work out? How you just call me Carlson? Like,
Hey, man. I'm glad to pass that nickname on to someone else.
Anyway, it's delicious and you should try it.
Yes.
But yeah, I didn't realize how much I cared about Thanksgiving and traditions until my family, mom and dad got divorced. Because whenever you always have that family structure, you always assume that
We're going somewhere.
Yeah, we're going somewhere. I'm gonna have some place to be, and you almost take that for granted.
Sense of security.
Yeah, you almost take it for granted because you're just like, okay, I'm at mom and dad's house. Mom's gonna be cooking from like Wednesday till and then she's just gonna have everything wrapped up. My mother is extremely punctual. She does not like to be doing anything last minute.
That's my grandmother, which is
so-
the call.
Me too, Mom.
Yeah,
Bye.
so she's very much so. Everything's already done, unless it takes 30 minutes to do. Everything's already done. Like the greens are cleaned, everything. Like I come in, and I'm like, she's like, "What do you want in here?" I'm like, not like, "Hey, how you doing?" Yeah, what do you want in here?
What are you doing in here?
No, she's like, "What do you want in here?" Because in her head, this is my space. I'm busy.
Yep.
I'm a person at work.
My system is working, and you're in my way.
Yeah, I know you want food. I know you need it, but right now, I need you to be out of here as soon as possible.
Can I mention that is also a form of therapy? I did art therapy, and cooking is culinary art.
Oh,
that's all it is. It's just a form of therapy. We have to be able to, get those breathing habits out, get our train of thoughts out. We need to be able to sing and dance and calm our spirit and talk to ourselves and really express ourselves the best way we know how. And that comes out in, all the arts, culinary, whether it's writing, whether it's song and dance or, going to galleries. It's just therapy.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Yep.
So what about you guys? What about you guys for Thanksgiving? What's the vibes?
You going anywhere, Wally?
I'm going to my mama house.
Nice.
To my mama house. Yeah.
Now, are there? So, I guess before we continue, this is going to be the most important Thanksgiving question of all. Is your family a jellied cranberry sauce family or a whole cranberry sauce family?
Whole.
I liked you for. This is good. This is good. We can still be friends. Imani?
Yeah, it's definitely even whole.
Yeah, we're whole, but we slice it though.
Yeah.
That's more of a question for Mom Dukes. I don't like cranberry, so I don't even know anything about it. I'm a very simple girl, so I like my I don't dip my nuggets in sauces or any
Okay. You're a fucking weird dude. What are you, a psychopath? What kind of person doesn't use sauce on their nuggets?
Extra dry.
Ew.
Yeah, no, I'm just not that.
Are you the kind of guy who also eats his wings unsauced?
He's
hesitating.
No, I don't like too much sauce on them. Like, don't
what about dry rubs? Can we get a dry rub?
I get dry rubs. Describe it.
Dry
I say
rubs
he like
is just
KFC,
seasoning.
so nah.
No.
Okay.
We sauce our wings.
No, I'm talking about like these
but
sauce
they could be a little bit of a dry rub because when they do because the peppers in there.
If it has a little bit of sauce, if it has a little bit of sauce on it,
it's just not a naked fried wing.
But I'm also weird when I eat. So like when my Thanksgiving, I don't mix food together. I eat each food in its own
simple girl
own thing. Like if I eat cornbread, I finish eating the cornbread, and then if like peas and carrots, I never understood why you mix those two together. You eat peas and then you eat the carrots.
My little sister.
This is making me so
sad.
My
little sister, when we used to make her a plate when she was a kid, she used to be like, I can't eat it. The food's touching. No.
Yeah. I'm not that, but I can't. I don't mix them. I eat them
When I was
separate.
a kid, I did that. Like everything had its place, but as I've gotten older and my palate has gotten more mature, things have pairings. You pair things together. The stuffing and the cranberry sauce, the mashed potatoes and some veggies, like the turkey.
Yeah, don't put gravy on anything. Like I am notorious. Don't put gravy on my what's that?
Mashed potatoes?
No,
stuffing.
No, on
dressing.
Meat. What
turkey?
No. People put gravy on like on like the cube steak or something. I don't.
You mean Salisbury steak?
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't-
first of all,
yeah.
that shit's an abomination to meat everywhere.
Yeah, but I don't like
But
gravy on stuff.
that
Just
and turduckens.
I like my stuff plain. That's just how I roll.
Oh God, what about you, Imani?
So I am a cornbread baby. I am a Salisbury steak baby. I am what do you call it? I love stroganoff.
Do you guys have that for Thanksgiving?
No, we have cornbread. We don't have Salisbury steak. We may have it the night before, a couple days before, because Salisbury steak is like a hearty meal.
Yeah.
So
what do you have for like the day of?
The day of, okay, so boom, here's how the day of goes. We have a little bit of breakfast, but you're kind of, like, we'll prepare a little something, but you'll eat that in probably, like, the dining room or in the living room, essentially. Not really in the dining room because we also need that to set up.
That's where the show go down.
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly.
So I don't eat a lot of red meat, and a lot of my family members, we also, like, really don't eat a lot of red meat. We'll eat it occasionally, but we do not always eat it, just, you know, lifestyle preferences.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So how it goes is essentially, you know, I just explained the breakfast, and then from there, we've already started prepping the night before. Like today, I'm actually going down to prep now. So it's just, it's just a whole process with it, and then so everything can move smoother. So we don't have to worry about, hey, get out the kitchen at this point, you know? It's steps beyond that now. You know what I'm saying? We know that step, but we also want to move beyond it. So we start prepping early. We set everything up so that way when everyone comes in, they can go ahead and sit their bags in whatever room that they're going to be in.
The purse bag.
Yeah, the purse bag.
The coat bag. The coat room. Yep.
The business bag, because I'm always business. Even when I'm not at work, it's always business for me. So in schoolwork, I can never forget schoolwork, especially around family, because that's going to be where's your schoolwork. So there's that. And then, you know, you just have to find a perfect balance. But to really start at it, you may want to start a little early, like how we were saying, just to be a little bit more punctual and to save a lot more or a lot less hurt feelings.
That's true. Yeah. I have 3 Thanksgivings to go to this year.
Oh, that's
I'm sorry.
I can't with that. I can't. Why'd y'all both reach at the same time?
It was intense, and I didn't want it to be like loud on the. Cut that part out. But anyway,
It should.
Right at the beginning.
You know what? Because you know what happened? Hey, is everybody's phones on silent? Everybody's
on silent. It's
everybody's
just
phones
not
silent.
off of-
Remember how that was?
it's on silent. It's
and
just
then
not off
first
of
person to go
vibrate.
reach for it. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, I have 3 Thanksgivings to go to this year.
Damn.
3 different ones. So it's like the first one's on Thanksgiving Day at my mom's house, and I'll be there in the morning helping her get stuff put together. And then Saturday is, I think, at my brother-in-law's house. I don't know if they're doing like the kind of traditional type of like a menu, if we're barbecuing or something. I'm not sure.
Hey, Mimi, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So you're like from like the Midwest.
No, I'm not.
She was like, "Where did you even get that from?"
No, but like, what's West Virginia?
Not the Midwest.
This doesn't count as Midwest?
No, my guy.
No. West Virginia is really Virginia.
That side of it, like over that, like the other, like the westernmost part of West Virginia.
Okay,
maybe,
the western.
Yeah.
Okay,
But on my, like where I'm from, first of all, I was born and raised in Virginia.
Like
first of all,
on
this side of the
very close.
On this side of the Appalachian Mountains,
very close to West Virginia,
like 45 minutes away.
Okay, I just want to be.
Not even, but yeah. So wait, what was your point of asking?
Okay, I just
said this is this and that's
like,
not that.
I'm not Midwest. No.
I just want to ask. I'm so curious. How do you, like? I've never been to a white Thanksgiving. So what are the foods that are served there? Like what's in it?
I mean, I can only speak to my family.
Right.
So traditionally speaking, we've got like the turkey is the main thing.
Okay. Do you have stuffing inside the turkey?
No, we have dressing. We do the dressing. Which is basically the same stuff, but you don't stuff the bird with it. You make it in a casserole dish separately.
Okay, that's what my
to my
family does.
knowledge, I don't remember us ever stuffing our birds because you can never truly guarantee that the bird inside will be cooked all the way through.
I mean,
you can, but we've never done it that way because we always stuff our birds with fruit. We stuff them with fruit.
I
like apples and orange slices.
I like that.
Yeah, and it helps to keep the breast meat tender while it's roasting. And then you scoop all that stuff out when you're done. Before serving. But so we've got the turkey, and then we've got mashed potatoes and gravy. We've got the green bean casserole. Oh, I love this stuff. With the French fry, onion strings on top. So good. Sweet potato casserole, cornbread, oyster stew, cranberry sauce. We have the jellied for nostalgia and the whole for the adults in the room.
The what?
Whole cranberry sauce.
Okay.
Like usually we'll make it because it's really easy to make. And like dinner rolls, like croissant, like those like croissant roll things, the Pillsbury ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of like the traditional, like kind of quote unquote like Norman Rockwell, like you'd see in a picture type of stuff. But I realized not too long ago that the oyster stew is a regional thing.
Yeah, I
Outside of the
haven't heard that.
Appalachians,
I haven't
no
heard
one
of
does
oyster
that.
stew before. Yeah. Can I ask a question? Like, so is you and like, let's say not now, but let's say back in the old days, was it like it's you, your mom, and your sister? What?
Back in the old
Oh
days.
God, I didn't mean it. But like you, your mom, and your sister. Were each one of you assigned to making something, or did mom do all the cookings? How did that work?
It didn't work that way at all, actually, in our family. For the longest time, my grandmother did all
All
the
of the
things.
cooking.
She wouldn't let
On whose
anybody.
side?
Everything.
On whose
She
side?
wouldn't-
Your grandmother on what side?
Oh, my mom's mom.
Okay, so that's all.
My grandmother wouldn't let anybody for the longest time do anything, and that was for Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners.
Wow.
We did, because we all lived so close together. Like all the major holidays were at my mom's parents' house.
That's tradition.
It's and so, but as we got older, you know, it started off with delegating, like, well, you can do this, or you can make this dessert, or you can bring these drinks. And then as we've gotten even older, we've even taken to rotating, like who hosts. You know, so sometimes the menu is just a little bit different based on like how my sister does her stuff compared to how I do my stuff compared to how mom does her stuff. So, you know, it's really kind of at its core all the same, but we all put our little flares. If we find new recipes, like how to do things differently with seasoning and stuff.
Why did you look at Wally?
Because you know how I roll with shit.
So that's kind of how it is. That's how it is now compared to how it was then. Like back in the day, like my grandmother did everything, and now we all kind of take turns doing stuff.
As you should.
Yep.
So was it different when, you know, your husband is Hispanic? Was it different with whenever you first did Thanksgiving with his family?
They don't do Thanksgiving.
So they don't do Thanksgiving at all.
So well, it's not that they don't do it at all. It's just that with them. So my husband's parents are from El Salvador, and so Thanksgiving isn't a thing in like Central and South America. Like they just don't do Thanksgiving.
Right.
Everybody just came over and like
and you just
killed
eat
folks
like normal.
And didn't have the celebration that stuck down there.
That's a whole other conversation.
You went.
You know how. Right,
you went there. But okay, so no, like so I mean, obviously, him being born and raised here in the U.S., obviously he grew up with knowing about Thanksgiving and stuff like that. But they never did like a full-fledged Thanksgiving spread. Like I think he really got that when he and I started dating, and he had a Thanksgiving with my family.
How does he like it?
I mean, as far as I can tell, he likes everything.
Everybody that grew up without Thanksgiving and then comes into it in their adulthood loves it because it's a bunch of fucking food.
And it's so good.
At the very end of the day, we going to eat.
Yes, and we're going to eat well. So no, he loves it. There's a lot of pretty much everything. I think he's tried all of it and he likes pretty much all of it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We started doing oxtail at Thanksgiving. Just a little something. We started adding our little.
Don't tell me that because I'll be the first one to bring a big pot of oxtails and just leave it. Like
last 3 years, we did Thanksgiving at our house. Chris is Nigerian. She wanted to and she's not from here originally either. So we were just looking for different stuff to throw on the menu. One year we had some beef ribs on there. Oxtail's been the last two, so like we kind of like throwing our own little thing. We even make this. Chris makes it. This macaroni and cheese. If you ever been to Famous Dave's, had that joint with the jalapenos and the bacon and all that in there.
And their cornbread, because I make mine a lot like theirs. I make it with the jalapeno sauce and a little bit of the jalapenos chopped up in there. Yeah.
Do you remember when Drake made his macaroni and cheese with raisins in it?
Drake?
Excuse me?
Yeah.
This is why I didn't like Drake originally, because he does corny stuff like that.
Come on, yo.
Wait, that he actually ate?
Yeah.
She said that he actually.
No, because everybody was like, okay, it was like this. You know how you have like it catered, so you have like the big tray, but that's like that big, and so people were looking at it, and they were like, "What is those little things in there?" Like, and they were like, "Oh yeah, those were raisins," and we was like, "What raisins?" And I was like,
Raisins and
But it
cheese
means-
sound like some shit you eat when you broke and there's just nothing at home and like, I gotta eat something, I gotta go.
Or, I mean, like when people have, like, on a charcuterie board, when people have
Yeah,
grapes
yeah.
and cheese and crackers, but it's not raisins in macaroni and cheese.
The only way I can simplify this for Drake to give him any sort of heading is, I don't know if you guys have had rice pudding.
Yeah.
It's the sweet and savory. And then also, everybody knows the combination of mac and cheese and yams. I'm just trying to give Drake a little bit of a break.
I mean, well, he's Canadian, so I wouldn't, like I said, they eat poutine and
Maybe
stuff.
it's that. Maybe it's a Canadian thing.
Maybe. But I'm just trying to help him out.
You would never catch that
At
our
first
house.
glance, it's like, no. At all.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense.
What about?
I don't know.
What
I'm
about,
not Drake, so
what
I
about
can't.
raisins and potato salad?
Raisins
I'm
and
going to
potatoes,
come
no.
across this table.
No.
Okay.
No. Stop. Stop.
Across this damn table.
There has been no indication that Mimi is a raisins and the potato salad ass person out here. We ain't even need to do that. It's all good.
So have we ate everything that's on this plate? Can we? Is there
I
anything?
think so, because I don't think we don't do anything like, I would say that, I mean, other than the oyster stew, because the first time I mentioned that to a client, they're like,
Sound weird as shit.
Is
What
it
do
like
you-
oyster stuffing? Because I do not like oyster stuffing. I don't even touch the stuffing at all because I know they do oyster stuffing, and I just hate
no, but
to get that piece.
we do make oyster stuffing. We make sometimes no less than 3 different kinds, like regular, mushrooms, oysters, all stuffings.
That's me being the outcast.
That's fine. But no, basically it's a very simple, well, traditionally it's a simple recipe, but when I make it a little,
Put your twang to it.
Mm-hmm. But so basically it's just, how I make it is just heavy cream that you take your oysters and you brine them overnight in the fridge in this like heavy cream or buttermilk, whichever. I typically use heavy cream. And then the next day you get all that out and you dump all that out into a pot, and then you fill it with some more milk, salt, pepper, nutmeg, and a little bit of butter. And then basically you just bring all of that up to a very gentle simmer and let that cook for about a half an hour until the oysters are firm. And then that's it.
What
You
about
serve it with
desserts?
oyster crackers.
It sounds okay.
For
But my palate has just not. I've eaten escargot, snail, and all of that.
You wouldn't mind
I
this.
just.
The taste.
I ain't even on that booger soup.
It's not slimy though. That's the thing.
Plus, I'm allergic to it, so
Oh,
I don't
well,
even know
then
why I'm
never
talking
mind.
shit.
Never mind. I'm not trying to feed you something that could kill you. Come on now.
What about you guys' desserts for Thanksgiving? What kind of desserts did you guys have?
Sweet potato pie.
Pumpkin pie as well.
Pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin
on the
rolls.
side.
Pumpkin pie,
Carrot cake.
apple pie.
Red velvet. Angel cake.
Red velvet cake?
Yeah, I've done
then
all
you
those
hitting
at
it right.
Thanksgiving, yeah.
Yeah, my mother bakes chocolate chip pies, so those are good.
Everybody goes home, well, at least all the male parents, like my uncles and my dad, they all essentially go home with either rice pudding for my uncle.
Yeah.
My dad goes home with
Rice pudding.
at least 2 apple pies. Banana. No, I won't say. I don't know if it's. It's a family recipe. I think it's apple cake or something. I cannot. First of all, I'm not even about to give y'all the juice like that. But with some stuff in it, though. I'm not about to get it with juice like that.
You gotta pay extra for
Do your
that.
thing.
Yeah, you do. Hashtag subscribe to my channel.
And so, Mimi, what's your word?
Oh yeah, my word. So this week we're starting back up with. I was gonna say, you hide your eyes, you sneaky thing, you. All right, letter A. Oh God, where'd it go?
A is for apple.
Hey.
B is for ball. C is for killer cam. D explains it all. E is for ecstasy. F is for fooly magooly. It's like, all right, go ahead.
This type of Sesame Street brought to you today by Wally B. So the word
the communist that is Big Bird. Go ahead.
no, he's communist and fascist. according to
At the
Ted
same
Cruz.
damn
At
time.
the same damn time. Anyway, the word of the week is austere.
Austere?
AUSTERE. Austere.
I've actually heard that term.
Yeah,
I just don't
this
remember.
time around, I think I'm going to use it. Words that people
I've heard
actually
it. I just don't know what it is. But I've heard that term before.
They're like upstanding and dapper or something like that.
Kind of. That's like a cousin of it, but not exactly.
Austere. Is it a visual term?
Is an L in there? Or no?
Austere.
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 Yeah.
Austere. Okay.
Yeah, I can't put my finger on it, but I've heard that term used.
Austere.
But like in a pedantic way. And I was like, what?
It's an adjective.
It is an adjective.
Yeah.
I feel the word of what it could be. It's just not coming out in my words.
Okay.
I give.
Okay.
I'm picturing a tuxedo and shit. And a whole cigarette.
You're dancing around it, my guy. You're dancing around it.
Formal?
Kind of. You're so close.
Damn it.
You're so close.
Gentlemanly?
Neo.
Neo? Is that what you said?
Yeah, the artist Neo.
Is Neo austere?
Yeah, that's
when he has the hat.
Yeah.
It's like, nah.
Yeah. Even when he takes it off and when he's riding his to the left, that was very, I would say, austere.
Yeah.
No?
No.
No?
What's the
Delete this.
Oh, delete this.
Oh no, we all get all these drinks wrong every week. Yeah.
That's part of the juice.
No, I'm kidding.
So austere is severe or strict in manner, attitude, or appearance.
So yes, though.
Oh, okay,
An
yeah.
austere man with a rigidly puritanical outlook.
So
yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Like,
so kind
yeah.
of, yeah.
So could we say to the left though?
Well,
because it was very like
that whole Year of the Gentleman album.
Yeah.
That
Again,
that
it's more of an attitude than a.
It's like
than
a
an
demeanor,
aesthetic.
right?
But it is, because
Yeah.
if you watch the video, especially in like how she portrayed everything, it was very like, go get your stuff, go.
Yeah, I mean, that could be.
And it's not just the action, it's the attitude behind it. Like how you were saying, if you're going to be a Beyonce fan and you're going to believe in feminism, I'm going to need you to stand on your words. So.
Wow, that's how I said it.
When you say
that's how I said it. That's how I said it. Wait, that's
Okay,
how
no,
I
I'm
said
sorry,
it.
sorry.
That's how it happened.
Now that
That's
you
how you
do-
gonna represent me.
now that you
That's how-
find it.
But I just want y'all to know he be on my case about everything. And I appreciate that because
to my life.
he
Sounds
holds
about
me accountable. And like I low-key had to thank him because even in just everyday life, that's what I said.
Mhm.
And I normally feel that way, but even in uncomfortable situations, that's what I said and I meant it.
Yeah, that could be, yes. So that would be probably an example of being austere.
I was
Yeah.
picturing like some British dude with a secret agent type motherfucker that just be fancy as shit all the time, but he always does
Like a
everything
James
the same
Bond
way.
kind of
Yeah,
character.
exactly. Or a fucking Archer or some shit.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, that show.
Yeah, I
That
love
show's a
that
hot
show.
mess.
Yeah.
But
So-
anyway,
so-
so that's my word of the week. Austere.
So Imani, plug your business.
Plug it.
Alrighty, guys. So
She was supposed to do my makeup today, but life
See?
happens.
It didn't work
See?
on your ass?
No.
Let me tell you something about oops. I catch him, Lob City, bitch. Boom!
I was gonna say you look awfully pretty today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So do you, Mimi.
honestly, you guys, I'm sorry. I kind of just wanted to come as raw as possible, and I wanted everyone as well. I know I probably should have also checked in too, but it just was like, let's just be so authentic, especially with the state of the world right now. I don't want to feel like I'm too up there, I'm too this or that. No, I'm a regular girl.
I feel like it's a
I'm a
good
regular
in our situation.
Yeah. I want everyone to be as relatable and to understand, even within my business, if I can do it, you can do it as well. And that really inspires me when people tell me that they see my growth and they've seen what all I've done, and it inspires them to do it as well. So even on this podcast, I wanted to just be as regular, as transparent, because it's a lot of pressure that you have on yourself to perform. So I want you all to just, like J. Cole said, I'm regular.
Mm-hmm.
I have my situations too.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can do it, you can do it as well.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to leave y'all with that.
So if people want to
So
try and
your
reach out,
business?
Oh, sorry.
Your business?
Yes, that was a beautiful setup.
That was a
Now,
great
how did it
haiku.
come
Let's
back?
land this
I'm
plane.
going to lead y'all to that. Because he be on me. I'm sorry. No, because do y'all see?
You gonna act like you don't be?
I'm trying to get her to plug her business. That's all I'm trying to do right now. How this got on me is beyond me.
I'm so sorry.
All right, man. All right.
I'm so sorry. My business is called Carrie Creates with the C at the end. I am a makeup artist, also basically a content creator as well as I have a YouTube channel.
What's the
I have
YouTube
two.
channel? What's it called?
So it's Imani Nijah, just my person, and then also Carrie Creates is where all the makeup things happen. On Imani Nijah, there's also behind the scenes, like you guys can see me go to the studios and like do makeup and just see the whole behind the scene process of doing photo shoots and things of that nature as well.
Nice.
And just lifestyle things. And that's also where you can find me on Instagram and Carrie Creates Instagram as well.
Nice.
Okay.
Very good.
Nice.
Thank
Yes.
Alrighty, and thank you guys for joining us this week. And have a happy holidays and have a great time at Thanksgiving.
And thank you guys for having me.
It was our pleasure, girl. Thanks for showing up on the show. See you next week, guys.
Bye.